Hmm.
Guess what? Hmm. Keep dropping rates. What's up, party? Welcome back. Welcome back. Handle these as quick little scalps, in and out. Good morning, my man. Hopefully the feed's a little bit better for you guys. If it's not, I apologize. I don't know what to say to that effect, but my stats look like they're doing just fine thus so far. I did look at some longs. I was literally like doing two things at once, getting the stream set right back up, and then looking at this level. Let's go back to 377. That's essentially where this stems from. We tapped right into this 88 level, which is 28.15 and some change. So I want to see if this can maintain itself. I'm going to scalp out a little bit out of it, just for good measure. And same thing for River. I scalped a little bit out of River. I did like 118 on River so far. ETH showing a little bit of a push, but that, you know, I don't trust that push to be quite honest with you. And no real buy signal developed here, so treat everything like a scalp, especially if you caught that knife. Just, you know, scalp it. So that was a nice 9 on a 144. It's a pretty aggressive 9 on a 144. Basically coming back to entry level for this harmonic setup right now. So you want to see, ideally same targets are going to be the same, right? You want to see if this level can hold, which is 3057 up to the 3080s. It may just go back to the level and then come right back down again. That's what's okay. Yeah, I did long. I longed River, took some profits off of River right over here. Well, excuse me, I entered right over here at this area. I took some profits when we got into this wick. Same thing for ETH. ETH tapped into an 88 level. This kind of stems into our idea that, you know, we had our wave 1. This is essentially our wave 2. This is perfect wave 2 characteristics as far as being sharp. So, you know, I'm looking at longs from these areas. This is something that was posted inside my corner last night. It was also posted here on Twitter. So that's kind of what I'm identifying. I'm going to see if these can hold. I go down to a slightly lower time frame, you know, like 144. I can see that we printed a 9. That was a nice exhaustion candle, but no buy signal reflected off of that. So that's got to be tentative with that. On the 55, also printed a 9 right into that fib level. The ADX is still flexing pretty strong right there, and no real strong buy signal. We do have some divergence that developed off of that. Can show that that trend is running into exhaustion on a 55 with RSI and money flow kind of pretty low levels, to be quite honest with you. 13 is one of the lowest it's been, and 9 for a money flow is where it's been. So it does have room to stretch down lower if it really wants to. For me, I think it's about just scalping these positions, holding some of these until they, you know, give us confirmation. Right now, we just had a knife down into this area. We need to get confirmation because it could always sweep this area, come down a lot lower, invalidate the entire setup altogether. So I think, you know, scalping it is going to be the best bet right now, especially with the way some of those indicators are printing, showing that the trend is not fully exhausted just yet. What's going on? What's going on, Lucas? You're very welcome. Happy to be here. Happy to be here. I'm glad that you're here too. What's up, Solar? Let me find out. I'll find out about the VIP for you. It should have taken, you know, a couple days, but you're not the only person that's told me that they haven't been updated just yet. One hour 9 failure. Let's take a look. Printing an 8 right now on the 1 hour. We got a 9 that's still gonna brew here in like the next 28 minutes or so. Technically don't need that anymore. But I can see there's a level at 39. I'm good, man. I'm good. I just I had a late start to my morning in a way. I just had to take care of a couple things. But overall, I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm good, man. Thank you for checking in on me. I can check hype here in a minute. Give me a second. I'll look at hype for us. All right. That's good. That's what I needed. '25th of January. What's the 25th of January? There's some dangerous longs altogether. That's hype. I mean, hype looks like it wants to go. To be honest with you, it just looks like it wants to go. Oh yeah. Bottom of wave, or at least the origins of where wave one began was the 25th. Yep. Breathe. Hype. See, I don't want to look to short it just yet. I don't have sell signals yet. It's just running out of strength. It had a strong buy signal. Ideally, I was looking for hype. I wanted to see it get into, 0.88 level for wave two, but I missed that altogether. I believe when I was looking at it, it was sitting somewhere right around here, and it was inside this downtrend. So my thesis was that, maybe we get another rejection and we can come down lower and sweeping these lows. But considering that it bounced off of a 0.76 for a wave two, I'm looking at some pretty aggressive targets. Let's go with like a 1.618, which puts it right around like 90 or something like that. So I don't have any active longs on hype or anything like that. I was just waiting for it. If I miss it, I miss it. It's just something that I'll miss. If I can get back into this level, let's say the 76 area, and then, maybe we get a double bottom or something of that nature, then I would be open and consider looking at for some longs inside that zone. But for the time being, I'm just kind of sitting flat when it comes to hype. A, B. That's one way you can look at that, but that would be a deep wave B. Yeah, we'll probably get a, if we got a bullish 5.0, that would be amazing. This would be like a snorm. That's what it's called, a snorm. If that develops. It's a big if. The other way of looking at that too is going from here. This is an A, and then we get a B somewhere, let's say around here, and then we revisit, get a C, and then we can get a D that sits right around here inside this area. It's speculative. Really just got to wait for that to develop. River is active and ETH is active. These were posted inside my corner. You can see them here. It was this idea, this being a wave one, fully anticipating that, then getting a wave two, seeing if this wave two would hold, and then take us into these levels and going into, February. I have this like February 16th, maybe sometime around here, maybe by March we reach here, and then we'll have a big push down to the downside to sweep those 2600, 2623 levels. If we get a sweep here now, for ETH, we sweep beneath this 2785, then it invalidates this count altogether. You can get a double bottom, you can get, just right above it inside this area. Like a lot of that can transpire. I already took some profits off of River, just in the event that I see a flush down to the downside. If we see a flush into these zones, flushing this area right over here, I want to see River, attack that that liquidation area of like 65. That's something that we were looking at just yesterday. So that's the idea for me on River. For ETH is just about finding where that bottom is going to be. We got a dead cat bounce right off of what, 2804, just shy of that 2815 area. 2 hours of waiting. Yeah. Yeah, I already longed river. I longed river a little while ago when we had that dip into that zone. Now I'm just trying to see if ETH can hold its 2804. So yeah, just swept that low that I just had. So got to be careful here with ETH, especially if you're trying to catch it. I took profits on mine already thus so far. So essentially it's a free trade on ETH. Let's see, it's sweeping those areas. And now we're just inside this green box. This green box needs to be a demand area, so I would build some longs inside of here. That's what I would be looking for. That was a good little push. That was a good little push. What was that? Oh. And see, they just swept those lows and then tapped right back into it. Bulls need to try to defend that 2800 block. You know, they need to defend 2800s. I have an entry here, 27.99. I'll set my stop loss just below that wick because it's essentially catching a falling knife. So you don't know how deep that retracement is going to be, where that's going to go to. So if it sweeps it, then I get pushed out on that. It'll be a small loss. Not going heavy on these. Yeah, I'm out on that. I'm out on ETH. It just pushed me out. And so I'll just continue to wait. It's inside this box. It's really finding where that level is going to come to for ETH. So I'm going to wait for, signs of weakness in the sense of bearish. I don't have a buy signal just yet. I am running into exhaustion here in this area for bears. We have a liquidity pocket. Remember, we have a liquidity pocket that sits at 27.88. I'll put that on. I believe the pocket sits right over here. Yeah, a little bit deeper. So it looks like it wants to invalidate this move and come down lower. And then we have moves all the way down to 26.76. So, if this thing decides to go gangbusters and start pulling down even harder, like those are the levels that I'd be looking at least from a 377 perspective. I believe we saw one on, what was it, 144? Yeah, there's a pocket that sat over here. I forgot what time frame that was that we were looking at. I believe it was like a 34. It looks like it collected all of it thus so far, at least on lower time frames. But again, when we get to like this 377, I mean, we got a good amount that sits right there. So just be careful. Like if you are catching this knife and you're looking at it, I would 100% look at treating this as a scalp, just in and out, take a couple bucks. I did take a stop loss on that. There's roughly around like $17 that I burned on that. See if we can maintain this. All right, so let's drill down on this box a little bit. Let's just kind of move this over and look at it from this perspective. I'll open that up for us. Right, if we can maintain this, son of a gun, there we go. If we can maintain that, then we have a good probability we'll see a short-term recovery. Maybe we get to 28.69, collect some of that liquidity here for a quick, easy scalp, and then we'll move back out. Now it's just a waiting game. Back to the waiting game. Yeah, 26, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. 26, there's a pocket that sits right there in that same area. Right here, that's that pocket. GG. Yeah, River has the level right around like 30, right inside this area. Inside this green box. So I'm prepared for that. I already took profits on that. So I'm good with the move thus so far. Just below the wick, right? If it keeps wicking out new lows, then that would be the stop on it. Because it's making new lows. No, I didn't add more to the river short. I didn't, no. At that 53 level, I didn't. I mean, this was early this morning that move occurred for river. And I was deep in my sleep. So no, I didn't have an opportunity to add to a short on that. Let's see what occurs here inside this box. You know, I would be open to building inside of this box, inside this area. Let's actually do this. I mean, it's risky, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of what feeds into this pattern that I'm utilizing over here, and also the wave count. So like anything that's inside here, it's just considered a very deep retracement. And I'd like to give somebody like a fib level or pinpoint accuracy, but you know, I've already blown past an 88. So, you know, the next level that goes down to is going to be roughly like 99, 93, 95, anything like that. And so these are odd fib levels, if you will, for lack of better terminology. But nevertheless, you know, you want to look at the demand box, see if that demand box can hold. If this demand box can hold, then you're good. So, you know, violating 2784 or something in that area, then the demand box is gone, the wave count is gone. Then you have essentially a deeper wave D for a harmonic. But literally in one day, just retrace that entire move. ETH having a little bit of a move here. Coffee break for me. Be right back. River still, you know, if River's going to sweep, it's got to have that breaker structure. That breaker structure would be the ideal zone. So like, again, that puts us right inside this pocket right over here, inside this area. ETH looks like it rejected off that 88. That's what this line is right over here. That's that 0.88 line. Let's see if it can actually push into this level, into this pocket, and then maybe it decides to come back down again. It's like 28.76 inside that area. That's just low time frame. Pretty big move on a daily. So usually these things like to take a little bit of a pause. Oh. Yeah, I do. Yeah. I look at CoinGlass, I look at Hyperbot, I look at TapeSurf. I'm kind of looking at all these areas, and then I'll use that as confluence with my indicator to kind of give me perspective as far as does that liquidity line up with the way that I have mine written. That's decent. Don't know if that's a dead cat, but let's see if that holds. Getting back into this little resistance area over here. Let's see if we got an order block. Let's see if we have any bots, if you will. I need to fix something here. Okay, so that all works. Okay, that's good. Let's see what these big boys are doing, if they're doing anything. And then these guys open shorts at 28.93. Okay. Okay, I see that. Nobody's opening the longs, at least not any big wallets, if you will. Actually, a couple. I take that back. One at 28.02. These guys are just holding. Geez, that's crazy. This guy opened it a couple of days ago. Market open at 29.85. Yeah, see, this is see that shelf that I was talking about yesterday? It's 27.89, some change. I tapped right into that. But I don't expect, you know, if you're longing these areas, like I would anticipate like price actually come this level and then it just booms all the way up to this area to collect this liquidity. Like it would just be a build as you're building going into February. You have the main levels that you're looking at that it needs to maintain and hold. It needs to hold this area. You know, we lose that area, we get a sweep down into these zones, and essentially that would be the new long area for us. It would be somewhere inside of this 2678. Now the pocket, it doesn't have to come here because there's another pocket that's right around like 8 million that sits right over here, and that's 2769. So you might see a sweep just below that, and then it pulls right back up. So just things that we need to be paying attention to. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, River has potential to even come down to 32 if it really wanted to. That thing decided to go crazy. So there was a sweep of that 88 fib, people along in that 88 fib. That's kind of what I'm looking at, how I'm interpreting this move. We had a sweep of that 88 fib. And so this candle, or excuse me, this wick just represents liquidity, if you will. So you have a decent amount of liquidity that sits right over here. So this is essentially, this wick is just showing us this is where bulls are starting or trying to defend inside this zone. So I just want to be on that side with them, if that makes any sense. Did we get? All right, so break a structure here. Okay, how many break structures do I have? Two breaker structures. This was a breaker structure right over here, so maybe a retest inside that zone. Okay. All right. River has the same level we were looking at. 0.76 is a fib. See if it can respect that level. Same thing that I was talking about earlier. Just this fib right here. So this represents the liquidity inside that zone, inside this area. So it's trying to respect the 0.76 fib. Yes, we have pushed below it, but for each candle thus so far on this 34 minute, each candle has really closed above it. So that's a healthy sign. But I don't think we're out of the woods just yet, because if this thing decides to tick up, this ADX decides to tick up, pulling up the DI negative, this is going to drag down. Now this is a lagging indicator, so you'll see price action happen first, but that will be our confirmation, like, yeah, this thing's going to come a lot lower. They have decent cooldown so far on ETH, but very similar. We had cooldowns over here and just went sideways and then dunk. Obviously got a fair value gap right over here. Maybe clear some of this up. That puts us like at 2890s. This is where some of those wallets were opening up not too long ago, earlier today. Usually, I mean, if you're gonna have a strong bounce, like it's just gonna pull up, right? Like that's your strong bounce. But if you get a bounce and then you start hitting like a resistance level here in this area, then and it starts retracing, then essentially that's your dead cat bounce. Really, what you're looking for is if you have a true bounce, or excuse me, if you have true support, then you'll see price action just start climbing. But if you get to this area right over here, which is not that much, right, from 27.98 to 28.42, we're talking a little bit less than like a $50 pip move. That's pretty weak. So essentially that kind of points towards a dead cat bounce. I'll look at BTC here in a second, buddy. I don't think today would be like a heavy profit day per se. I think it's more of just building in that sense. just continue to build. Yeah, yeah, that I remember that wallet had a position at 2910. I think he got stopped out. We actually didn't save that wallet to track that. I should have. Good morning, good morning. How'd you lose capital, bro? No stop loss? That's a bummer. Sorry, man. Sorry you went through that. I took a small stop loss earlier this morning. Nothing major. Need more of my singing? Feed the shorts. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah, if you held on to the call that I had for ETH, I think it was 3,033.40, somewhere in that area. I gotta look back in my corner, but you're sitting in good profits on that so far. And so as ETH is approaching this area again, right? These are just little dead cat bounces. Blink, boink. In a perfect world, you want to see it maintain this box. So like I'm open to looking at for some longs inside that area. Ideally, I like to see like a buy signal that appears here. We have some divergence that's appearing here in this area, but DMI just on a low time frame just looks like it's ready to pull a high yaw on people. So that's why I'm being cautious, for lack of better terminology, just being cautious. If it sweeps that low, I think I'd burn roughly like $49 on that. Burn. However, I took profits on River earlier when we got into these areas, so I took like 118 in profits on that. So even if I burned on that, I'm still net positive from the overall moves. That's what I was saying. Like, you just got to be cautious here, guys. That's it. Just got to be cautious. River looks like it could have potential to do some damage here. Yeah, River looks like it has potential to do some damage. So still going to treat everything like a scalp. Not married to any of these positions. I'll take the quick. In Rivers, I like River because in this sense, like, you can have small moves with a small margin and make decent capital off of that. So it's more like it's fuel for the engine for like the bigger moves on ETH. Not going in heavy on any of these positions. I think I have like a 150 margin on ETH. Yeah, 150 margin on ETH, 82 margin on River. So nothing crazy, nothing too heavy, nothing that I can't manage. If I get into a stop loss, I don't get into too much trouble. Ah, coffee. So good. I mean, it's a pretty deep wave one. Unless they wanted to go 1, 2, and then if you see a big one, then this was 2, and that was relatively flat. Wave 4 is going to be pretty aggressive. I think on a daily for river, well, not that I think I know. You know, you got this trend. See, like if it wants to maintain this trend line, let's just assume it does maintain it, because you have a pivot here and then you have a pivot here. You know, just go off of a trend line schematics, if you will. You know, that puts you right around like 29, somewhere in that area. And if we look at the pocket, that would violate the pocket, that would take all the liquidity in that area. And that puts us like down inside of these areas. Right over here, inside this area, where there's a lot of demand here inside this zone. So coming back and retesting that area, would not be surprised. Would not be surprised. Yeah, River's not moving yet. I mean, River had a pretty ridiculous pump for some time, so like this correction is relatively healthy. Now it's rejecting that 88 area over there. Let me go to like a 144. That's not where I want to go. Oh, but that's good to see. Okay. We had a 9 there. That Lido phase is still printing a 3 though. Maybe. Maybe. So maybe on that. ABCD and that. I can get to the same thesis with you on that. Oh. Came back and retested it. Retest, push up, reach, played with it, retested it right there, retested it again here inside this area. Do I have alarms going off? I don't know where that's coming from. I feel like I hear alarms going off. My apologies. Hang on real quick, guys. I just disconnected something on my side. There we go. ETH has a little bit of a move right now. Has a little bit of a move. Let's see, it keeps rejecting that 88 area over there. That's why it's like, I don't fully trust it. You know, when it has moves like that, the way this is set up right now, like, you know, it does have a loss of strength on a 3-minute. It was peaking out over here in this area, so that now they have a loss of strength, but they're still holding that momentum. So just play by ear, guys. Just play by ear. Yeah, I'm in river longs. I've already taken some profits on the river longs. So I'm prepared to get pushed out. I'm okay with getting pushed out. And see how ETH is not pulling up like this? That just kind of points towards... Oh, gun. Wrong. Actually, let's go back to that. What time for this? 377. I had to change the character. Came back, gave us a pullback. Now it's looking for a break of structure. Yeah, that break of structure is really what we need to be looking for longing. I mean, there's so many ways that we could really measure that. But what if we did it just from extremes? Where are you? There you are. You came to a 0.5 fib for this entire structure up. So maintaining that would make it bullish, right? Anytime price action is above 0.5, that's considered bullish. When price action is below or rejecting 0.5, then it becomes bearish. Yeah, I'm gonna scalp some of this ETH long out. I don't trust it. I personally don't trust it. I mean, we could also look at this as well too. It's one way of looking at this too. This is our A. This will give us our B. And that would give us our C. If we don't get a sweep from here. I'm game for that. Game for that. Yeah, see, that's why I just took a little bit of profit off of ETH for that reason right there. This is just going to be scalps for us today on this. If there's going to be a swing, it'll present itself, but right now it just looks like scalps, to be honest with you. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a big push. Next candle, 1, 2, 3. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, big push. So 1, 2, 3, 4, big push. So I'm looking from a 34-minute. I got like another hour probably sitting here if it's going to change the setup phase. So I'll most likely keep revisiting this area over the next hour or so if we're going to change the setup phase. Right now we're printing a 4. In order to change that setup phase, we need to climb above the previous 4. Obviously this candle right over here, that would be the easiest target. So if I go 4 back, I need 2 more sessions here, because I can go 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So I can clear this area. So I'd give it roughly about like another hour or so to see if it's going to hold this area, and then potentially change the setup phase, just clear this fair value gap inside this area. I mean, it's pretty wide. Tapped into some of it already and then rejected off of that, which is essentially pretty bearish. So in a perfect world, like if you're going to look for a more healthier scalp to move up to the upside, you want to see this gap gets cleared. Maybe it kind of pauses right here around like 2903. Bulls can't reclaim the 2900 block, and then we come right back down again. $65 for river would be the most ideal area. If river is going to bounce here in these levels, 65 would be the most logical zone before we look into reshorting. River's got a little bit of a move here. Yeah, a little tiny one. Nothing crazy. Do have a break of structure on this though. Let's see if we get back to that break of structure area right over there. Yeah, the short printed good. Short would be all about just maintaining and looking at TPs. Strong would recommend taking some profits off of the shorts in the event that you don't get a full TP. But I definitely would have skimmed some off of that short by now. Running into some cooldowns in this area for ETH. I'm still inside of ETH. I just took some profits off of it. That's all I did. ETH is not doing much here, guys. It's just not. Yeah, it's got moves all the way down to 27.38. I want to look at that liquidity pocket again. Yeah, that's 27.90. Where that shelf is at. So would not be surprised if it gets to 27.90. I mean, River's got to break a structure there. I mean, we had this wick. This price action basically filled this wick. Now we're inside of what was a resistance area, short-term resistance area. We pushed down, then we violated it. Had a small little retest in that area. Now retesting it again here in this area, because this move right over here from here to here, that's what took us to that high. So it's essentially retesting this zone. I want to see what some of these wallets are doing here on Hyperbot. See if anybody has re-entered or longed. Let's see. Those are all longs. Let's look for all directions. Uh, 16 minutes ago, got some longs that opened. 22 minutes ago, some shorts opened. 2803. Man, that's interesting. Long at 2802. Short at 27.97. Wow. These shorts from 2800 block. 2017, 2028. I want to look at all the shorts real quick. So like 20 minutes ago, 50 minutes, an hour ago, majority of them opened then. Okay, and let's look at longs real quick. So they're just starting to open 28.15. So you're opening on that 88 fib line. I get it. That guy's down bad. 183,000? Nah, bro. Like, let's filter that out. $5 million position. Liquidation 25.57. He just closed his ETH long. Wow. He just closed his ETH long. He just closed his ETH long. Literally in real time, he just closed it. Interesting. I don't know why it's delaying now. Let me refresh the page. He just closed his ETH long. He was at what, 2015, something like that. He literally just closed it. Why did he close it? This guy has a short from 2803. $28.02. No, this is the same guy I was looking at earlier. This guy is... Oof. Dang. Long on BTC, short on... So he's probably anticipating rotation out of alts and into BTC. So he's shorting it at what, 2014? So he's shorting this fib level right over here. Interesting. Yeah, so a good chunk of it's been collected so far, but now we have this liquidity that sits right over here on lower time frames. This little pocket right over here, 28.95. There's a good amount of orders that opened up inside that area too. And where does that put us for price check? That, yeah, that's basically filling the fair value gap, 28.96. If we reject the fair value gap, meaning we can't fill it and then reclaim it then I would look at closing the long and then flipping into a short, because we'll most likely will come down lower. Or at least I'll open up a hedge in that area for a hedge short on ETH. I mean, that would be my thought process. That would be my setup. Why do I have so many freaking lines like that? Okay, I gotta clean that up. Oh, because I have another harmonic that sits here. Duh, my fault. Technically, I could actually shorten this up. Yeah. Yep. Your wave B sits right there. Yep. That's what it did. It rejected wave B earlier. Got another change of character. See, change of character, change of character. That's just volatile here. You had one break of structure to the upside. My indicators, they're available. They're not publicly available. They're private. They're invite only. Yeah, just gonna take profit off of that river, and then anticipate for it to come down a little bit lower. I just took a little bit off of that. See where this wick was at. Now it's a matter of if ETH can actually perform. I think best case for scenario for right now for ETH is going to be like 28.95, 28.90, somewhere in that area. That would be the best case that we're seeing. And then come back and revisit that area again going into February. See more moves to the downside. If we can get up higher first in February, in the beginning of February, let's say it starts to pump up, then we always look at what the opposite's going to be. So if month opens with a pump to the upside, most likely by the end of February, it's not only is it going to retrace that move, it's going to be lower. We can see that precisely happened for January. We opened, and I think we opened at 2790 and some change, and then it had a small little push down to, I think it was like 2790.36, and then it pushed down to like 2790 flat, just even. And then it pushed all the way up to, what was it, like 3400? And then we retraced all the way back down and swept the opening for ETH. So we could see something very similar for February, right? If February decides to do the opposite, and let's say February opens up to the downside, it decides to sweep January's low, then we have a higher probability that you could build inside that zone. So let's just say inside of February it sweeps to like 2600, 2500, somewhere inside of that level. Then I would build obviously along there, because then it has a higher potential of surpassing 3400, maybe even get into 3500s. Then it would be a real decision maker for March. March would be like the confirmation month if we did in fact bottom out and we're going to move higher. And then it would be up only until 2027. Maybe you'll get some sideways movement, things of that nature. But February is going to be an important month in the sense of how crypto is going to behave going in for the remainder of the year. Typically bear markets, they last roughly around a year. And so what I mean by bear market is I mean like corrections, right? So essentially bear markets are corrections. So we entered into this correction phase around August. So February would be about 6 months. February would be about 6 months. And man, look how that weekly looks. That weekly looks like it just wants to go boink. There was a fair value gap that was sitting right over here, and notice that we just kept rejecting it. And had a fair value gap here, filled it here in this area, basically filled the entire gap. And now we started rejecting inside that area. You can see where the fair value gap was at. It's starting to reject it. That's pretty bearish. Overall, the next fair value gap sits right around these areas. So if we're going to be hunting for imbalances and for it to correct imbalances, it's going to be essentially these levels. Yeah. ETH ain't moving. ETH isn't doing nothing. It's a big fat nothing burger for ETH right now. You have shorts that are aping in on that. They're trying to push the price down. They're trying to sweep this area. So there's a big battle going inside that zone. Come on, ETH. Do something. There's that painstaking side. If you pull a limit order that didn't activate, other people with some indicator can see that limit order not hit. I mean, they'll look at order blocks, so you can go into tape surf, and you can see the order blocks inside there. You can actually see what orders are being piled up in what zones, what areas. So like if you put a limit, then you're just kind of lumped into that zone, into that order block, if you will. So that's really what they're going to be looking at, not specifically yours, if that makes any sense. This is what I use to track those orders. You can look at it this way when you're looking at lump. That's tape surf. It's 100% free. You can track whatever you want, whether it be, it's mainly going to be geared towards BTC and ETH, but you can track them on different exchanges. Yeah, can ETH pump already? Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, that doesn't look like it's going to do anything at all. I mean, that's for river on this 34-minute for river. That's a decent pull. I mean, you had a push down, you had a sweep, It recovered in that area. Then you had another attempt to push down inside that zone. Like ideally that green box that we're looking at, that level needs to hold. Now, if there's more selling pressure that steps in and decides to sweep it, that's where the liquidity is really going to be coming from. People that are going to be longing inside that zone. So for me, that the reason I'm sharing that is because that's the thought process behind taking profits inside these areas. I'm gonna make a quick phone call, guys. I'll be right back. I'll be here. I mean, I'll still have the charts open, but I gotta make a quick phone call. So just give me a second. All right. ETH having a little bit of a move there. Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I had to make a step up, make a quick call. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. Oh, look at ETH making little moves. Look at ETH making little moves. Don't trust it though. I don't trust it at all. We got a cooldown on it. But this thing can turn green inside of this area and then have like another dump down to the downside. What were we on the 34? Remember we were talking about saying like this level had to be more difficult? That's the 2 hours that I was talking about. Like in order to change the setup phase, it needed to get to this area to change the setup phase, which was right over here. That was going to be an easier stretch. Now it's just a matter if it's actually going to hold that area. BTC don't look good. 83. It just swept this low right over here. What was this? Oh no, it didn't. Wait, did it? Yeah, it did. It swept that area. But it didn't break this level right over here. It came real close to it. Could also look at this as saying, you know, maybe this isn't the wave 2. Move this over. So unlock this. It's a complex wave 2. So it's really this level that needs to maintain. You know, all this level right over here, this needs to maintain. If it goes lower, then wave 2 essentially wasn't done. And the next level is going to be 0.88 inside this area. And actually we could do it this way. You could look at it this way. That's probably going to be a better case study for that. That's precisely tapping into it. So all of this move to the upside was a wave 1, and then this gives us our wave 2 where we're at right now. Wave 2 could come down to these levels, so it really needs to maintain 84 just based on the mathematics down to 88. Excuse me, 82. If it violates, it pushes beyond this level right over here, then it's toast. Then it invalidates that. Then I would adjust wave 3. Adjust wave 4. Let's just assume it's like that, and then adjust wave 5. And this is a short wave, right? Wave 3 can come all over here, so if let's just say it went back to 125. I'm just giving you an example. If it went back to 125, then we would adjust all these other levels. But that would be relatively short term. I mean, it's smaller. It looks smaller in size compared to wave 1, just optics wise. So that would be the move. If it were to go gangbusters. I can actually remove that. I don't need that. No longer need that. I don't need this. I don't need this. And so we'd have to flesh it out, look for the fib zones as far as time frames. This is on a daily. Let's go to zones. So we got a little bit more time that sits over here. Sits up here. Bigger swings would occur over here. Yeah, that puts us in March. Weesh. If that were to occur like that. So we have until February 10th, so we can kind of float around here in this area, maybe even tap into 82 before we actually make a move to the upside. So that's essentially what I'd be looking for. Right? Risky long here, but you do have a break of structure on the daily, which is healthy. You have another break of structure right over here. So the break of structures are getting smaller, and you have a break of structure right over here. So if it can maintain that 84, we'll be fine for BTC. But if it violates that 84, you have a level that sits right around 82,694. So 82.7 if you want to round up. ETH making a little bit of a move here. I'm going to take some profits off of that. Just take a little bit off of that. Take a little bit off the top. And we'll go back over the river. Oh, it's river on a daily. I was looking at 144.
The night lay waste to all we'd given, but honestly, you've gotta know that this ain't living, but we could run from Elysium and let it burn, let it burn. You've gotta know that nothing lasts forever.
Yeah, the more we drop in this area, I agree. The more we drop. River's the one that really just needs to hold on to that area if it's gonna move. There's 190 that's been booked in P&L so far. So we've crossed over into the 2K handles so far on the challenge. Not a bad week. Starting with the week. Now it's, see if we can do the same thing every single week, right? Challenge would take a little bit longer, but as the challenge grows, the margins will start to grow and increase. There was no way possible just to do that all on ETH. Just the way ETH has been performing, it's just not feasible in that sense. So River becomes, like I've said before, River becomes the tool for us to use that as fuel for the bigger positions on ETH, or at least try to develop bigger positions on ETH. Just because River moves so aggressively, you can have a quick little 0.5%, 1% move, and essentially you'll have $60, $80 in profit in that sense. I appreciate that, small sir. Thank you, man. Yeah, definitely. You guys enjoy the stream. Love is always appreciated. Love is always appreciated. Okay. That could also be, I'm glad I took profits on that. Yeah, more people are just aping in onto these longs, which is ridiculous. They don't want to catch a bottom, but they want to just start buying when they start seeing a little bit of movement. So where does that put us? That's too thin. This is too thin. So this probably needs to be moved out. What's over here to the left? What is that? 2870? What happens if we get into 2890s? What does that look like? We can get a bat pattern out of that. And wherever this wave B is going to be at, you know, this wave B can be inside of this pocket, right over here. I don't see that. I don't see that. I see something like this, right inside this area. Because we have those liquidity pockets that sit right over there. I'm going to look at this from a subwave perspective. See what a subwave looks like. What do we say? 2095, somewhere in there. All right, it's just speculation. I don't know where that subwave is going to go to. But I can definitely see this as a leg, for sure. Definitely see that as a leg. Yeah, I'll probably take that. Something like that. Go ahead, River. See what you can do. See if you can fill some of that fair value gap there. I just did BTC. I just did BTC, guys. I think best case scenario for River is going to be that same level, that 53. Right, like if we reject there again, then you know it's just going to come right back down again to these areas. In a perfect world for me personally, you know, this is formed and we can get into this zone right over here. This kind of plays into what I'm looking at this as, you know, this whole move down being a wave 1, at least from here, excuse me, being a wave 1, and then I'll get a wave 2, and then I'll get a 3 that comes down. Yeah, happy to teach, guys. Happy to teach. One thing I definitely love doing is teaching. Wave B would be under the 0.5. 0.5 for the 377. Where are you getting the 0.5 from? Wait, are we talking about ETH or are we talking about River? Which one? My bad. A decent pull. ETH, I have it for from the wave 1 swing point. Oh, I got you. Okay, okay. All right, so let's clean that up a little bit. Let's see what that looks like. So you got a 0.5 here. 29.14. All right. What were we looking at here? I got you. I see what you're saying. I see what you're looking at. And then let's move this up. I'll vibe with you on that one. Obviously, you need to move this over so it makes a little bit more sense. But see, then this needs to go higher. See, it's a little too high for wave B. Let's look at a 618. It's 2884. I can take these lines off for right now. I don't need these lines. These lines are in the way. And then River wants to come right back down. Of course. So maybe something like that. Maybe the 618. Let's scooch this over. I mean, sharp levels would be here. I could see something like that, but this would probably have to be out a little bit more. No, a little bit closer, so somewhere inside here. So visually, that makes sense, and then this has to be stretched over. See, I just don't like this leg where this wave B is. I mean, maybe if we go that way, yeah, we can get a shark pattern or a crab pattern out of it that way. This would need to be a little bit higher. And that'll turn into our partisan. It's just this wave B is just so like meh. 618. Yeah, maybe. And then move this over. And drop us into this zone, into this area. What's the resistance on that? Let's get the resistance on that real quick. Actually, let's take these zones off real quick. And let's go to a full fib. All right, so those are my extension levels. So extension would be right around here, so kind of eyeballing that. And now let's go into zones. Take this off right now. Don't need that right now. River coming back down. River testing that 0.5 again. 43.804. That makes a little bit more sense like that. I'm trying to lock in with you, Sniper, in the sense of like where we can see that wave be at. We would want to target the extension levels for that. You know what? Forget all that. Let's look at it this way. Let's look at it this way. Right, because harmonics usually follow each other. Legs follow legs. So, right? 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 No, too short, too short, too short. Maybe too tall. So maybe get right to that 3057 area. Which that would feed into pretty darn close for that wave 3. Maybe we get a little bit higher, maybe a little bit less. Yeah, something like that. Let me drill down on this a little bit more. Because patterns follow patterns. Yeah. Let's just assume wave B was already formed for that pattern. And now wave C is, you know, looking for confirmation here in this area. Yeah, I can see that. Maybe we don't get a wave 3, maybe we get a small, and then we can get a retracement back down. Because if this was here, let's say this went to 88, so then wave 4 would go flat. Sharp levels, man. What is wave B? That's just underneath, so let's assume we come down to here. And the question would be, is that wave 5 actually going to be an advanced wave? Or is it going to run into truncation? Only way for us to get into that is if it bounces here. So this would provide a scalp. And wave 4s are so difficult to position yourself. You either get a pico top right on wave 3, or you catch a pico bottom on wave 4, because these become complex, sharp. I mean, technically it should come flat. But even if I do a 0.236 on there, that's the only way that we can get into this area. Yep. That's the only way we can get into this zone. Well, I say that loosely, right? Like, anything can really happen. We're just showing you like the mathematics and from a wave perspective. Because typically wave 5 shouldn't be larger. It can't be your largest impulse wave. And typically it's going to be equal in height to wave 1. So that's where you see this bar right over here. So if I'm going to get the full extension on wave 5 and I'm going to run into expansion levels, then 1.272 is a classic level. You know, 1.68 is going to put us somewhere over here, but then that's going to make it larger than wave 3. So I don't see that being a possibility. So if wave 4 comes down any lower, let's say like wave 4 came down to like these levels, or even came down to these levels, I don't see that occurring. I would see, you know, maybe you catch a long here, and then you'll probably be somewhere right around here, if not here. Maybe right in here. Big maybes. Big maybes. Yeah, that's what that looks like. Yeah, I mean, if we get to wave D or we get to these levels, like it could invalidate this pattern and then moves higher. Then we'd have to remeasure. But just from like a harmonic perspective, I mean, it could come all the way down to here and just fully retrace all the way down. So I would definitely be looking at wave 3 short entries. What was that, 34.59? Yeah, just sweep these highs. People that are holding, sweep them and then come right back down. Basically push their stop losses and then come down. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for. So like I wouldn't look to long this or anything like that. I would open head short here in this area. Obviously we long from this area. If it decides to bounce inside this zone and starts pushing up, then you know that's an invitation to start closing your short. Take profits on your short and then wait for a higher up, you know, 3600. 3600 would be ideal for a monthly to get to that level and then have a deep retrace, you know, beyond, you know, 2600, get into like the 2500s, maybe even 2300s, because there's good liquidity that sits inside that zone. Good, yeah. ETH has those characteristics of basically fully retracing pumps. So we'll just expand upon this. I'll add this over to the 34-minute count. Yeah, I can view this through 377. So that's kind of what it would look like. I still think we're probably gonna, you know, float around here in this area a little bit longer though. Just being honest. We're getting closer to the end of the month. It's later in the week. Volume starts to diminish a little bit more. You might see one of those big moves out of nowhere, and then everything will just go completely calm. Man, it is a nice day outside. I need to take these plants out. I told myself I'd take them out when it was warmer out. It was like 30 degrees. But we will look at this on a lower time frame, so that way we can just see how that price action is developing. So we know what we're looking at here. See, this is one of those things that, you know, sometimes people see these things on a downtrend. They like, oh, we got a shooting star, it's a reversal. But, you know, you got a shooting star already on a downtrend. You know, the probability of it pushing down are lower versus if you have a shooting star that sits somewhere here on the top. So just be careful when you're looking at some of those candles and you're doing candle analysis, things of that nature. Take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, there it goes again. Like I said earlier, guys, it's probably going to sit inside this area for a little while. Before it decides to make a decision to go up higher. What's up, Stefan? How you doing, brother? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here, man. Think Sol has some more moves to the downside, to be honest with you. Maybe. Big fat maybe. I mean, this is a pretty important area that it needs to hold. It's this demand area, right? It sweeps this low right over here, then invalidation kicks in. Harmonic gets invalidated. This new setup that we're looking at gets invalidated. The wave count gets invalidated. So it's relatively a pretty important area that it needs to hold and defend. I think River, in my opinion, I think River has like the best potential to stretch a little bit higher. You know, considering people that want to continue to short it here in this area, I think it can actually get a pullback into roughly around like 65, and then make its new leg down to the downside. Uh, 27.35. Yeah, let's look at some liquidity. Actually, we'll go to a 377 just so we have a little bit better data. Let's throw in some dynamics here real quick. Right, like we have a pocket that sits at 2771, and then we have another pocket that sits underneath that's 2745-ish. And then we have a much larger pocket, you know, 8.4 million, right around 2675. If we go ahead and take a look at where liquidity is, just on a lower time frame, going through CoinGlass, you know, there's a small little smidge that sits right here. What is that, 2786? Somewhere inside that area. And there's a little tiny pocket that it's kind of playing around with, because you can see orders are building up here in this area. So you could see a sweep of today's low down into this area, or at least the last 30 minutes, down into this pocket, which is 2811, something like that. So there's more liquidity to collect to the upside. I mean, there's a butt ton that's above, but just looking on a 30-minute, you know, we've collected a good portion of it. I mean, the next major area is going to be here. If we go over to a higher time frame, I usually like to sit on an 8-hour when I'm looking at CoinGlass or anything like that. We can see where those pockets are below, so it gets pretty deep inside this area. Right now we're running into this shelf. If the shelf can maintain itself, then yeah, we have the opportunity of possibly getting into this area. See, there's a new shelf that just developed right over here. Shorts that are trying to compound inside this zone, 28.44 and some change. And so 28.44 is literally like right here. These are my private indicators, guys. They're not public. It's ones that I've written over some time. All my indicators are, if you go to TradingView, you find me, Crypto Saint, you can see all of them that are there. And see, even on lower time frames, it runs cool, but then gets warm immediately. So you have a bunch of shorts that are aping in at 28.58 inside that area. It's about to print a 9 here soon on a 3-minute. I anticipate that 9 to bring us right back into this. And we got another little pocket here, 27.76. Yeah, so we got a 9 printing right now. That's an impulse candle brewing on a 3-minute. That's why you see that bright green. All right. What does Volatility, small buy signal on a 3-minute, right? We're on a 3-minute, right? Yep. What is that? Okay, on 144. Massive. Jeez, that was a massive impulse candle. Is that a shaved head though? Yep, and there's a shaved head that sits right there. So got an unauthentic move that sat right over here on 144. Yeah, clear that and get into this. Yeah, clear that. That would provide more liquidity. Clear that imbalance. Use this as fuel to get us back into 34s. I'd be surprised if monthly can actually get back into 34. That would be a shocker. If this thing can pull up all the way to 34. That would be impressive. I just gotta DM me, man. I can walk you through it. Get a hammer there. Let me do my due diligence on hammer real quick. Inverted hammer, sorry. So there's no confusion. Yeah, inverted is going to be a bullish reversal. Let's look at the probabilities for that. Inverted hammer. Theoretical performance is bullish reversal, but tested performance is bearish continuation 65% of the time. So roughly like a 35% chance that it can actually move up to the upside. Gosh, this is boring. Oh my gosh. Can't even do anything with that. I use unique time frames. They're based on Fibonacci sequence. The reason being for that is because it's what other traders aren't using. So I like to look at different data points from a different perspective. Instead of your typical, 1 hour, 4 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 5 minute, 15 minute, I use something that's a little bit more unique to that. Can come up with the same conjecture, but maybe I have a slightly better entry because the data is a little bit different for me. So that's the method to the madness. We're just gonna float around here. It looks like a accumulation, so it's gonna be kind of boring here. 34 minutes, like the most exciting time frame that I can actually possibly look at right now. River was just a scalp. It's still in river, but I've already scalped out like 150 of that so far. Let me do this for somebody real quick. Sorry about that. Here we go. Let's see if ETH is going to give us a push down here into this level. See if there's an opportunity for us to get into, or have an add back into a long. What is this, 27.94? I want to drill down on this right over here. $27.91. All right, so let's look at 27.91. I want to see if 27.91 will give us anything. I think I said this yesterday, but one thing I've noticed about River and ETH, like they move in, they start to move in opposite directions. You know, River started dumping, ETH was pumping. then they kind of run simultaneously together, and then you'll see river pop up a little bit, and then you'll see ETH start to dump, and then vice versa. So if you're short on ETH, that's good, and if you're long on river, that's good. I think that's a good combination, in my opinion. Not from here. I'm not shorting from here. A pretty important area. Lead up phase is on a 10 right now for a 34-minute. Where you got like 3 more sessions, essentially, to show where this trend is going to be exhausted at and done with. I'm going to set up another little box right over here. Just change that to purple. Put in there. No, 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 no. Da, no, 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 no. Heavy on scalps, heavy on scalps. We got some order blocks that are forming like 2750. Sheesh. Nice little cluster there, but if they're going to sweep 2750, it's going to be that level that they're going to be going after. There's an order block there that's formed, or at least there's some orders that are forming inside that area. So just be on the sticks, just be ready. No, 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 no. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, no, 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 no. Dun, 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 dun. Alright, so pulled inside of that box. I didn't add to mine or anything like that. I didn't add to my position. I was looking for a little bit lower, like right inside of here. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for this level right here. Odd time frames are Fibonacci numbers. Yeah, it's 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, so forth and so on. That's how that sequence works. No, definitely not. From LA wave thesis, wave 5 is not your biggest impulse wave. Wave 3 is your biggest impulse. And then wave 5 is just a normal impulse, and it has several different characteristics. You can have what's called truncation, where it falls flat underneath wave 3, so it's a lower high. That's truncation. You could have a double top for a wave 5, which would confirm one wave 5 is in, and now you're going to go into a reversal. Or you can go into like classic levels, which classic levels are going to be the expansion fibs, which put you right around like 1.272 to 1.618. Theoretically, wave 5 should be equal in size to what wave 1 was. So when I'm looking at wave 3 and then wherever my wave 4 falls, I take the measurement of wave 1 and place that wherever wave 4 landed, and then that gives me an idea as far as where wave 5 would go. So maybe it falls short of a classic 1.272, but maybe surpasses where wave 3 was at. It's kind of in that in-between area. I don't have a fib level for that or anything like that. So then that's where that measurement comes into play. Hopefully that makes sense. You're gonna give me a subwave out of that? Maybe? Yep, that puts us right at the top of that fair value gap. There's an imbalance that sits over here. I think that was like on 144. That's 2960. Okay. So I'll just make note of that. Actually, I'm gonna put that back. I'm gonna put some lines on that real quick. Just gonna use those for reference. I may end up deleting them. Oh, again. May end up deleting them. Let's just see what matures here for ETH. Be right back, guys. I gotta use the restroom. The bearish LA on ETH. Yeah, same principle. Like, you know, whether it's a bullish LA wave thesis or bullish or bearish, you know, the principles will be the same. So if you have a downside and maybe you don't make a new low, then you have a truncation for a wave 5. If it expands, then yeah, see, when price action gets to like these type of levels and starts doing this, I don't feel too comfortable about it, to be very honest with you, just because it looks like it just wants to do a little hi-ya and then move up, for lack of better terminology. It's a pretty aggressive move so far to start the day. BTC's at 83. I'll open that up over here. Yeah, see, it violated that 0.76 level. So ETH is probably going to be on its way next. USDT here. Yep, USDT. It's going for that. That setup phase wasn't done. That was my biggest concern. But yeah, it's stretched even much higher. That's not good. That's not good. Be extremely careful with your longs. I mean, if USDT can top out here, then we can start catching a bottom. But look at that. It just yoinked everybody. USDT, I swear, man, this thing is... there's nothing there. I can't even use that anymore. I mean, I can look at it like this. I mean, it reached a bit above it, so did it over here too. If that thing, oof, if that thing is what I think it is, ETH will be in the toilet. It'll be beyond 1900. That thing will be in the toilet. You wouldn't be able to touch that thing with a 10-foot pole. Let's hope it's not. That looks like liquidation is brewing for it. All right, I had a small little ad here, 27.91. If it sweeps that low, then I got to be out of it. Yep, I'm out. I'm out on ETH. Can't do anything with that. Yep. And see, it just violated this area right over here. So that setup it's invalidated now. The count is invalidated. All that's invalidated. So now I have to wait for something to develop here because I just breached this level right over here. So invalidation, which was 2784. And what did we go to? $27.71. Well, good news. We got a $100 giveaway to be doing because price action went to $27.78 and actually surpassed that. There was liquidity that sat inside that area, so I'm going to clean this up for us. We got to look at a new idea here. I'm going to throw on a better chart for us. I swear, if this thing pulls all the way back up, I might just scream. Yep, next targets are going to be right inside here. No. Yeah, I still got the river long. Yeah, I still got the river long though. So the river long is okay. The river long is doing like 200 so far. I burned like 40 on that, and I had another burn at 17. I did take some profits on it earlier, so 80 on that. So I'm still net positive on ETH, but it ran my stop. So I need to look at this from higher. Yeah, see, it's tapping right into this liquidity. I'm gonna go to one screen because I just need the real estate, guys. So just bear with me. That thing looks like it wants to flush. Because what is USDT doing? USDT needs to calm down. Can't even get a normal Let's go to pivots. I'm going to give ETH one more go right over here, right in this pocket. It's like 2760. If I lose that level, then I'm out on ETH. And it'll have to be River. River will be my only play. There's a Hail Mary. That's a Hail Mary. Interesting. See, it's violated that whole area once before. I don't trust that line. That's how it goes. Win some, lose some, win some, lose some. You would run my stop and then pull all the way back up, wouldn't you? But I don't have a valid count here. I just don't have a valid count. I feel like that felt a little personal. I felt like it was just running stops. There's always that possibility. Ran my stop, and then I'll just have to sit sideline. I'll just rock with River during that time. Why did you come over here? Okay, so you went to that zone. So we can do the giveaway. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. I'll post my Twitter. I just recreated a new Twitter page. Just starting fresh, want to do something new. Be sure to be following. I'll post an announcement on there. Make sure you comment on there because I'm going to use Grok to tag the pick the winner. Excuse me. I just posted up there for you guys. I'm just in River right now. ETH pushed me out. It didn't like me. It didn't like me. Came straight to this liquidity pocket, just shy of it. I'm in River. Amro, can you not hear me? I'm in River. And I'm going to take some TPs on River as well, too. Yeah, because River's gonna most likely come back to this area. ETH. All right, how do I need to map you? This is so complex. But what you're giving us. Yeah, we do have a higher low in comparison to here. We do have a demand area. What was this? This was, yeah, this was that low. Are you gonna try to sweep that? Yeah, that party looks like it's just getting started too on these drops. You know what? I'm not even gonna go for that area because it looks like it wants to liquidate that area. Let's look at liquidations real quick. Yep, tapped right into that, and that pocket is pretty thick. Here, I'll show you guys what I'm looking at. If my OBS would actually let me get to the transition page, that would be fantastic. Oh my gosh. No, did not. No, it didn't long it. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. This party looks like it's just getting started. And this is on a 610. Maybe on a 13 minutes. See, no real small little buy signal on that. Big drop on that. It looks like they just flushed. I'll just wait. Maybe my entry won't be as good if I don't get down to those lower levels, but I'm just gonna wait. Yeah, see, all of this is showing me like that bearish move is just beginning. Like that was a warning shot. No, I don't. I post my setups inside Discord. Bro, if this thing pulls all the way up, if it does that, it's it shouldn't though. It should have more to the downside. $55-minute print at that. Interesting. You had a 9, then you wicked lower. You got a whipsaw here. Interesting. That'll feel very personal. That'll feel very personal. ETH was like, nah, you're not going to get in. We're going to push you out and we're going to go in the opposite direction. You're going to sit on the side. I got to sit on the side. I'll sit on the side. I'll just rock with River. See what River can keep developing with. $2,800s. Yeah, trying to reclaim 2,800s. A weird count on 8-minute. We got a 7 with an impulse brewing. So yeah, that trend doesn't, it's definitely not done. It's definitely not done. If you caught a knife, you know, scalp it, man. Scalp it. Don't marry yourself to it. Did that double top? Sure did. Actually, no, it reached a little bit higher than that. Yeah, it went higher. Yeah, it went higher. Close to a double top, but it went higher. Man, if USDT is gonna go where I think it's gonna go, look at this fair value gap up here. That's in the 7s, guys. I'm telling you, ETH will be in the absolute toilet. Absolute toilet. USDT is at a pivotal area where it needs to break, break this resistance area. That party looks like it's just beginning as well too, from an ADX perspective, and this is on daily. ADX hasn't crossed over DI positive yet, so that's kind of beneficial, right? Maybe this starts curving down, but if that thing crosses over, USDT is going to be on steroids. And ETH is going to, like I keep saying, it's going to absolutely obliterate. He's gonna take a poo poo. Yeah, definitely. Negative 20 for Soul. I don't know. No, I mean for Soul, I got something. Where's Soul? I think I have Soul on a daily. It's not transposing over here. Let me look at over here. I think I'll find it over here. Yeah, I keep stripping profits off of River in that area, just as an FYI. That's my approach. And then Soul. Where are you, Soul? Yeah, I got Soul all the way back at like 85. That's where I have Soul. And see, we had like what looked like a hammer. That's what we were talking about earlier. And then it theoretically it's a bullish reversal candle, but 65% of the time it's bearish continuation. And look, it's one of the reasons why I love that site. I also cleared an imbalance over here, but we cleared that earlier. It's continuously clearing and filling that. What other imbalances do I have? I don't have any other imbalances. It's the only imbalance I really have down there. Interesting. Okay. Pattern wise, man, I really don't have anything. If I can go pattern wise here, let's it's a massive A, B, and then C. That would be gargantuan though. I'm gonna anti-bat on that. I mean, if that goes right, that's a big if. ETH is back inside that little purple box. Take some of these indicators off real quick. Don't need this. Don't need that. That was already panned out. Actually, what ID is this from? I don't need it right now. It's just noise for me. There you go. I don't need these, and I don't need this. This is just residue. All right, I'm gonna take a stab at it here. 2764. I'm gonna run it into 2730. I just took a little stab at it. Let's go over to that 144. Yeah, it just took all that liquidity inside that area. $27.66 is what I attempted at. I got a stop loss at 27.36, so roughly around. That might be my third burn on ETH. I'll just be done with ETH for the day. Can't touch it. Just from a rules perspective, you know, the way I design mine. What is USDT doing? Yeah, USDT keeps flexing higher and higher. Yep. That's going lower. I wouldn't buy ETH spot here, no. USDT looks like it's going to do something ridiculous, and I anticipate the entire market's probably going to flush. What is BTC at right now? 83.9. I think we had a level for BTC. Yeah, it's targeting 82. I mean, it's on a massive cooldown. I mean, that's a pretty steep retracement that it's had. This will only be a scalp for me. I don't see this being a swing, to be honest with you. Just gonna scalp it. Look at that cooldown. That's a deep cooldown. Aggressive too. What were we looking at earlier? 144? Yeah, look at that. So it violated that. I don't know why my PC just did that. Hold on, guys. I had another screen here. It just went out on me. Hold on. Because we can look at this as 1 and then 2, and then this is going to gear up for a 3. That's going to be a nasty flush. I'd be prepared for like 2,500, to be honest with you. Just the way that things are lining up. Yep. Look at that. Look at this pocket, 25 something. I think we're going to get something very similar to this right over here. Retesting this area right over here. And that'll flush last year's lows. All right, just be ready. So I think that's what's coming. I genuinely feel like that's what's coming. River's my only play that's actually being profitable in that sense. It's literally covering me. Yeah, I don't think they're done wrecking longs. I genuinely don't think that they're done. I think we're about to see a pretty intense move. Oh, there it goes. Come on, get into this area. You know you want to. 25, 25 in front of it. We got a POC that sits right around 25, 25.16, 25.10 inside of that area. I'm gonna look at liquidity real quick. It is just literally in collection mode. We got a little bit of a bar that was set up at 27.48. If you're looking on CoinGlass, 27.48 has a level that just appeared there. There's a small little gap, but then it quickly drops right into 27.28, and like the next level's 26.56. What's 50% of this candle? What's this? I mean, the candle's not fully done and fully matured yet. It has 3.5 hours left in it. Let's just go kicks and giggles for right now. Let's just make the assumption. What is that? 28.82? Yep. Yeah, I think a new lower is coming. I feel like 25.71's coming inside this area. Right now, ETH, I don't have any predefined targets outside of just quick scalps. If you know, on these entries, just looking for quick scalps on them. I can't commit to it from a strong perspective, so just quick little flips, 40 here, 40 there, 40 here, 40 there, and just compound it. That's the only way I can get an edge on it. I can't even get a proper setup on it. Because this is worrisome. This looks like this would have been a wave 1. That would have been a 2. Because it violated here, then that kind of tells me that we're inside of a wave 3, which we can definitely feel that one. Yeah, 24.15. That's like a 618 from here. That's the expansion level. Maybe just completely blow right past that. So like bullish perspective, if I'm looking at this from bullish, just saying, okay, well, maybe I do have a setup over here, but then I would need to have a wave one, and then I'll probably come back and revisit this area again, and then I can measure it out. But you know, I have an impulse down, so I need to get an up thrust first to see what a wave one would look like, and then I can remeasure that out. I just don't have the data to give me confidence in saying, okay, this is where we're going based on just indicators and things of that nature. Like I don't have a buy signal. DMI just crossed over DI negative, which is extremely bearish as far as trend goes. Imbalance index is showing they're at a 57. Usually you want to see this at 100 when it's running into exhaustion. That's kind of pointing towards we're just getting started. So I feel like these are some warning shots. So from a longing perspective, just quick little scalps, man. Quick little scalps. Most likely you're going to get your entry back again, if not even lower. If you're short, I would just be holding on to it. They have 50-50 on 377, and it just crossed over there too. None of that is healthy. The only saving grace that we can see here is that we have a cooldown, but we've seen that before where we've had cooldowns. See, we've had cooldowns like these. This was back, obviously, the October flush, and then we pushed up just a little bit, ran warm, and then had another flush. Then we got into that low right here, so that's a cooldown. If I'm looking at cooldowns, you know, we're in one right now. I don't know how deep this cooldown is really going to get. I'm on a 4. It's the 5. That's a lot in order to change the setup phase. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, dude, it's got to get all the way back over here to change that setup phase. So I don't see that realistically because I'm on a 5. I have 4 more sessions. There's 4 hours left inside of this session from a 377. So I'm probably going to sit inside this area a little bit longer. If not, have flushes down to the downside and create lower lows. For that bullish setup phase to fully mature. What's the lead up phase on this? See, that's what's wild. This printed a 1 over here, showing us that this trend wasn't done on the lead up phase. So the lead up phase didn't change here, and I didn't activate a lead up phase on this move unless I'm tripping. Got it. 4. Just scalping it at this point, guys. Just scalping it. I'm gonna come down to a 3-minute. You got a small little buy signal, but look, we've had buy signal here once. Little pop up, ran warm. Ran warm, flush. Little buy signal. As soon as this thing runs warm again, I'm out. Candle right over here. That's not a candle.